Thank you for joining us here for the 11 on 11 on THV 11 Plus. I'm Ashley King, and this week the conclusion of the three-day trial involving Desmond Acala, the man prosecutors say fatally hit Officer Victor Montgomery 2 years ago as he was directing children and traffic on the first day of school. THV 11's Maya Ellison was in the courtroom for the trial and brings us the jury's decision.
The three-day trial now comes to an end. Everything happening inside this courtroom behind me. The jury took about an hour of deliberating until they came out and made their decision, finding Desmond Acala not guilty of one count of manslaughter after prosecutors accused him of fatally hitting Pulaski County Special School District security officer Victor Montgomery back in August of 2023. Now let's take a look at this trial overall. Over the course of 3 days, the jury was able to hear testimony from witnesses, the medical examiner, sleep specialist, Acala's co-worker, and even his wife. Mr. Acala himself testified that he has no recollection of what happened that day, as he told the jury he blacked out close to Joe T. Robinson High School. A year after the incident, Acala was diagnosed with sleep apnea. Now, the state argued that Acala should not have been behind the wheel, making the choice to drive home after working for more than 30 to 40 hours over the course of 3 days leading up to the incident. And we got a chance to hear from the families and their response to the jury's decision.
My sincere condolence to the family. My sincere condolence. My sincere condolence. I don't know how to reach out. We apologize for everything. It was an accident.
So I forgive him. And I have to forgive him to give myself peace and to be able to continue to love my kids. So I got closure.
And over the course of these 3 days, both families have been through this emotional roller coaster, not just through this trial, but as I've learned over the course of 2 years. And when the verdict was heard, I got a chance to see both families' reaction. The Montgomery family holding on close to each other, the Acala family tearful at the response. And as we heard from Mrs. Acala, that they just asked for forgiveness. And for Mrs. Montgomery and her family, they now have that closure and the love that they hold on of Mr. Victor Montgomery. And if you want to learn more about this case and some of the additional details, you can go on our website at thv11.com.
Maya Ellison. Now, North Little Rock Mayor Terry Hartwick is under investigation by state police. A complaint was filed for a, quote, interaction at a public event. His office says they are cooperating with authorities, but have not yet released any additional details about the event. We have requested more documentation about the complaint from the city and investigators, and we'll bring you the latest as we learn more. An uproar continued in Benton this week. A restaurant owner won't serve jail time after an alleged sexual assault. Timothy Stepegg, the owner of Tim's Tavern, made his first public statement this week as protests continue outside his restaurant. THV 11's Carter Thweet has the latest.
We're going to be here every day until he ain't. Until he shuts down, we're going to be here every day.
A small group of protesters braving the cold outside Tim's Tavern in Benton Tuesday. TJ Blackburn is a Benton resident who says at times they've had as many as 40 protesters.
We're out here protesting because the victims didn't get to give their voices heard. They didn't get to have their voices heard.
The alleged victims, 3 underage girls who worked at Tim's Tavern and say he sexually assaulted or harassed them. But those charges were dropped, with the Saline County prosecuting attorney saying he didn't think they could be proven. Instead, Stepek pled no contest to 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor and got 12 months probation.
We want answers. None of it really makes sense.
On Tuesday, Stepek released his first official statement through the restaurant's Facebook page. Part of the lengthy statement reads, quote, Tim has and continues to and will continue to maintain his innocence of all the lies, slander, and crimes he's been accused of, end quote. While he wouldn't give an on-camera interview, I went into the restaurant to speak with Tim on Tuesday. He told me he never would have pled guilty or no contest to any sexual assault charges, and he only pled no contest to the endangerment charges because he didn't think he could get a fair trial otherwise. He added that he plans to release evidence proving his innocence later on.
We still don't know what evidence Tim supposedly has or the prosecutor supposedly gotten to want to bring the charges down. But we tend to believe the minor girls.
In Benton, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
Carter, thank you. There have also been reports that Arkansas Alcoholic Beverage Control is looking into Tim's Tavern. We reached out to them and they confirmed they did receive a call, but they have not issued any violations and are still reviewing the complaint. State lawmakers held a hearing Wednesday to call for changes to how the reporting system works when it comes to child abuse. It's the latest hearing since lawmakers questioned DHS officials over how a boy in Mountain Home suffered years of abuse despite repeated calls to the state. In that case, the parents avoided facing charges, while today's hearing featured a Cabot family testifying over the false accusations they faced.
Somehow the system is broken. We can expect perfection every time, but we've got to do better.
Representative Mary Bentley moved to form a working group to study these issues in more detail. She said that she hopes it prompts reforms to the system and produces something lawmakers could vote on in future sessions. And President Trump is rolling out a $12 billion aid package for farmers funded by tariff revenue. It's meant to ease the strain of high cost and trade disruptions. Growers say that relief can't come soon enough, with many here at home feeling their livelihoods are on the line. THV 11's Catherine Rowley looks at how much of that $12 billion could reach Arkansans.
The money will be a payment bridge, one-time payment in response to what the White House calls temporary trade market disruptions and increased production costs. It's a step towards some relief over the problem that they've been saying has been building for years.
We're very grateful that this problem has been acknowledged, and this announcement today was a really big step towards making a dent in some of the problems that farmers are facing. But we have to remember that these problems have been building for years.
The bridge payments are meant to help aid farmers until investments from the One Big Beautiful Bill hit in early October of 2026. And it comes at a time where farmers are feeling the strain the most in their pockets.
That's really put a squeeze on farmers across the state and in other states as well, causing some significant issues that have been building and sort of coming to this point where it's closing in on a full-blown crisis.
$11 billion of the $12 billion of the funding will be put towards the Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, which provides relief to over 20 different crops, including rice. And the hope is that with this funding, there can also be a change in the current trade and include more American crops.
Promoting U.S. rice and other agriculture goods in other parts of the world, and also making sure that what we grow here domestically can be consumed here domestically instead of, rice and other products making its way in from other parts of the world.
Elevated input costs is one major cost that Isabel says has had a large impact on their rice farm. But the USDA said that inflation has also impacted markets in the U.S. The announcement comes at a time where farmers are making decisions about their next growing cycle.
I would say having an announcement and knowing what those numbers can really help lenders make very critical decisions as to what they can do as far as continuing to bank farmers moving forward.
$1 billion of the funding will go towards crops that aren't covered in the FBA program, like sugar. Farmers need to have their acreage for 2025 reported by December 19th, and farmers could start seeing payments as early as February 28th of 2026. For statements from officials, including the Farm Bureau, you can head to the digital version of the story on thv11.com.
And people behind the campaigns hoping to permanently erase limits on the ballot petition process will soon be gathering signatures, while state leaders appeal to federal judges hoping to put those laws back in effect. The restrictions went on the books last summer, but a judge blocked many of them from going into effect last month. Among the rules now on hold, reading level requirements, photo ID requirements, and residency restrictions for canvassers. Lawyers with State Attorney General Tim Griffin filed the appeal last week. It claims the laws are necessary for election security and integrity and asked for the injunction put in place by the lower court be lifted until a decision is made. If the appeals court agrees, that would once again keep those direct democracy campaigns from trying to get on next year's ballots, something longtime petition process expert and lawyer David Couch says is to him plainly against the state constitution.
Direct democracy is the only way that people can actually get something on the ballot and get it voted into law without having to go through the General Assembly. Now that's why they make all these laws, make it more difficult for us to do this, because they don't think the people, I don't know why they don't believe it, but they don't like the laws that we propose, because if they would do them themselves, we wouldn't have to do it.
For now, groups have until July to collect the necessary number of signatures to get their initiatives on the November ballot. Legal briefs in the appeal have to be filed by the middle of next month. And Aaron Spencer's campaign for Lonoke County Sheriff is now officially underway. Spencer held the event at the Rolling Hills Country Club in Cabot. In just over a month, he will stand trial for second-degree murder. If convicted, he will be removed from the race. He is accused of shooting and killing a man who allegedly sexually abused his daughter. And immigration enforcement in the state has concentrated in a particular county. The Associated Press has been tracking ICE arrests. They found more than 450 people taken into custody from the start of the year through this fall, largely in places like Benton County. Claire Everbach spoke to an immigration lawyer kept very busy by the crackdown.
AP News says most of these arrests were made through what's called the 287G program, enforced in all but a handful of U.S. states. Through this program, state and local law enforcement work directly with ICE, allowing them to question people booked into jail about their immigration status. Local immigration attorney Susan Duell says the program has transformed even basic police interactions into immigration checkpoints.
Anytime that they're interacting with police in a 287G memorandum area, including now the state police, it becomes an immigration checkpoint. They're automatically run through the database to determine whether or not an ICE hold is warranted.
Duell says sometimes they arrest people who do not qualify for these holds.
So it's certainly possible that A, these are not legitimate ICE holds, or should not be legitimate ICE holds, and people get detained anyway. Or secondly, these charges are eventually dropped, and so they shouldn't have happened in the first place.
She says what's most concerning, these arrests are making immigrants less likely to trust police.
People don't trust to be able to report crime to the police. That includes victims of domestic violence. They're terrified because if the police are involved, if they're here without status, their spouse is here without status, or somebody in their family is, they're not going to report.
5 News reached out to ICE for comment, and we received this statement. Josh Robinson, Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney for Benton County, also sent us a statement saying ICE operations are federal in nature and state-level prosecutors lack authority to deal with such matters, but are always ready to assist on investigations involving state laws.
And state highway police have taken at least 8 commercial truck drivers off the road this week for failure to speak and understand English. It's part of a crackdown at the newly reopened truck inspection area on I-30 in Saline County. Earlier this year, officers resumed pulling truck drivers off the road and citing them if they failed to prove they understood English during the stop. And that's being used as a way to find more drivers suspected of being in the country illegally.
Immigration took possession of some commercial drivers yesterday, but I don't know if it was any of those 8. There were some immigration violations yesterday. Homeland Security did work with us yesterday.
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton filed a bill last month that would require all CDL testing be done in English and allow the federal government to suspend a state's authority to issue a license if they don't. More than 1,000 burglaries across the capital city this year, but that number is still down. A look at some of this year's crime stats as we near the end of 2025 after the break. Welcome back. Well, in the last 2 weeks, homes and businesses on both sides of the river have seen brazen burglaries. Officials tell us no injuries were reported in these cases, but it raises a bigger question. How many of these crimes are happening across central Arkansas today? THV 11's Maya Ellison takes a closer look at what the numbers show.
Faith Baptist Church in North Little Rock sits off Camp Robinson Road, an area Pastor Todd Dornan says is typically quiet until 2 weeks ago.
We have a man in our church that we contract to do our yard care, and he stores some of his equipment in our shed behind our church. He came one Saturday morning, found that the lock had been broken on the shed.
On the ground lay bolt cutters, and inside, 3 mowers, all missing.
I think he reported about $2,000, $2,200, something like that.
THV11 confirmed through North Little Rock Police that the church is one of 7 residential and commercial properties hit by burglaries in the last 10 days. Over in Little Rock, a local business employee who asked not to be identified says she noticed suspicious activity before realizing what happened.
There were some guys just pulled in to our driveway. So when they saw me looking at them, they pulled around to the end of the building to where I couldn't see them. And they was still back here parked. Yeah. And so I came back.
That's when she noticed the damage. A hole in the back fence leading to here. The metal cage cut straight down the middle. 4 air conditioning units missing.
We have a gate on it down there, and they couldn't cut the lock off because of the way it is. So that's why they had to get a grinder and come through here.
According to Little Rock Police, as of December 8th, just over 1,200 burglaries have been reported. That's down from 1,600 this time last year, a 26% decrease. And in North Little Rock, 178 burglaries were reported this year alone. In Pine Bluff, police say overall crime is down about 15%, with 98 burglaries reported between July and November. That's compared to 175 in total last year. The break-ins now have businesses and churches making security upgrades, hoping to prevent any future damages.
Make sure we have better lighting, cameras, things of that nature to protect our facilities.
For THV11 News, I'm Maya Ellison.
Looking at other city services, the Public Works Department is getting ready for pothole season. It's probably safe to say that no one is a fan of potholes, and unfortunately, the season will soon be upon us when they form. And here in Little Rock, the city's 311 database has counted almost 1,600 calls or texts on them this year. The city has closed nearly all of those reports. Still, a think tank funded by insurance companies put out a survey that rates more than half of our major roads as either poor or mediocre, something that could spell trouble as winter nears. And Levi Hospital is moving forward with its transition into a community health foundation. The hospital announced this summer it would end patient care on August 1st as it shifts to focus towards behavioral health and the social factors that impact overall wellness. Leaders say years of aging infrastructure and rising repair costs help drive the change. The board has now voted to remove the century-old buildings, saying maintaining an empty facility would drain resources better used for grants, partnerships, and community programs. Demolition is expected to begin this spring. And UAMS Head Start centers are set to reopen tomorrow after temporarily closing at the end of October due to the government shutdown. Federal funding is now restored so children and families can get back into the classroom to resume full services. The executive director of Head Start says most of the same staff and kids are coming back, but because of the few who left, there are still some openings that are available.
We are full steam ahead, and for the few children that we're able to get into other programs, that means that we'll probably have a few spots open. And so we are still taking applications. We're reviewing the applications that we got even during the shutdown. And so we are still taking kids, especially in the 3 to 5 year programs.
The program serves more than 400 kids, and you can apply online at headstart.uams.edu. And there's a house in Central Arkansas that turns into a holiday destination all on its own. We'll let you meet the couple behind the decades-long Christmas tradition and why visitors say it feels like stepping into another world. But first, let's eat it up.
No, I'm not too partial to Philly, but I got to give props where props are due. City known for a sandwich. Good job by you guys. And Benjamin Franklin. He was cool too. This week on Eat It Up, we are back in downtown Little Rock. We're actually inside the Blue Cross Blue Shield building at Green Leaf. This is a really cool spot with local ingredients left and right. It takes a little healthy turn on some of your favorite things. We're getting to dive into a little pepperoni pizza, a Philly cheesesteak, and shrimp curry. So what do you say, y'all? Let's eat it up!
Give people healthy options. We have different stations. The menu's constantly rotating. We change it up every week. We have deli, grill, a salad bar, a pizza oven, And then we have an entree that rotates to, sometimes it's a create, sometimes it's like a home style cooking meal. We do a lot of lower calorie meals off of there. And then we take a lot of suggestions from our guests, like something we've done in the past that maybe they really liked, would they like us to bring it back? And a lot of those guest suggestions actually help make my job easier, because then I don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. They'll ask for it, I try to put it on the menu. Today we're doing curry, that's one of my favorites. And we have a lot of people that will come in and get this one today because they like curry. Pasta, anytime we do a pasta bar, build your own pasta, that one is always probably the most popular. And then the grill, our most popular item is probably just your classic Philly cheesesteak and fries.
Steam coming off. This sauce smells amazing. The vegetables, the shrimp, the noodles. Pretty sure that's zucchini in there too, man. If you know how to make a good curry sauce, please let me know, because I'm clueless. You gotta have amazing peppers on a Philly cheesesteak. The seasoning is awesome. You gotta have those incredible peppers and the cheese to go along with it. When that cheese just slowly pulls apart when you bite it, standard classic as it gets. Pepperoni on that flatbread, let's go. If only they delivered on Friday nights, because I'd be having this delivered to my house. Oh my gosh. Downtown Little Rock, lunch option spot. Just solved it for you right there. See you at the Green Leaf.
Well, this next story will put you in the holiday spirit. One Benton couple has brought Christmas magic into their home through a massive Christmas village. Brooke Buckner got an inside look.
It wouldn't be Christmas at the Loonies without the Christmas Village. Merry Christmas! Terry and Becky Looney have set this up every year since 2018.
It just kept expanding and growing over time.
Into something much bigger. You can call it a passion project, but for the Loonies, it's mainly about spreading joy.
Then we started having these open houses and inviting our friends, our church members, our neighbors here in the community to come.
Now it's getting more attention than they ever expected.
It's really kind of neat to see people walk around and look at the different houses and the different businesses and watch the train and the trolley move. And sometimes the senior adults will kind of lose themselves in a story or a memory that they had when they were younger. And it's just kind of precious to watch their faces. It's almost like a little child opening a gift on Christmas, but you get people coming in here and looking, and they just kind of fade into their own story.
And there's a lot to look at. 97 buildings total, and they're not slowing down.
There's a garage sale or there's an estate sale, and they have lots of pieces, and we deviate there.
Although the village changes from year to year, the one thing that stays the same, the reason for the season.
Just nothing like pausing to bring the Lord into all of this.
And before we go, over in Benton, the men and women who put their lives on the line were honored earlier this week. Attorney General Tim Griffin doing the honors, using the time to express satisfaction of the continued efforts of state law enforcement, saying we can never express our gratitude enough.
For people like me and everybody really in a community to continually express the thanks and do everything we can to support law enforcement. They're not getting rich, and they're risking their lives to do it.
Honors were given to officers from every county in the state. There were 5 regional winners and 1 statewide winner, Trooper Hunter Grubbs. And that will do it for us here on THV 11 Plus. We'll see you back here next week.